Hello my dear students and welcome back to Excellence Batch, and I am your Diksha ma'am. So here we are going to finish our chapter with this last lecture, that is lecture number 8, and we are going to discuss something which is very important from every point of view, whether it is NEET point of view, it is the point of view of complete morals of life, or based on the behaviors of society, everything from every point of view. So it's kind of a kind of a lesson for you today, not just for NEET but for life as well. So let's get started with alcohol and drug abuse, right? So many of you are in that age where you watch movies and you want to feel cool like just movie stars, right? They are drinking alcohol, so they're having drugs, and somehow you feel this is how adulthood is. Do whatsoever you want to do. That's what adulthood is. No, adulthood is not like this. You are in a stage of transition from childhood to adulthood. You are still not adults, and these are the things that need to be avoided. So for that, let's discuss this in detail, that what are drugs and what is alcohol and what harm does it cause to our body. So we are going to talk about first alcohol abuse. What is abuse? Abuse means misuse of something. Misuse, right? So you are not just consuming a product, rather you are misusing it. You are taking it in that amount that it is going to harm to your body. So first product is alcohol. So what alcohol do human drink? The alcohol we drink is basically ethyl alcohol or ethanol, right? So what are the side effects of this alcohol? So we'll start with what happens when you consume alcohol. So for example, you had this alcohol, this get absorbed in stomach. So yes, alcohol gets absorbed in stomach. That's why you get effects instantly. If like that of other food product, it would have been absorbed in the small intestine, the effect would have been seen in the later stages. Because it get absorbed in the stomach, that's why you get its effect very soon. So once it get absorbed in the stomach, it moves to the liver. It goes to the liver. Now what happened in the liver? In liver, the hepatocytes, the cells of the liver, they are producing certain enzyme. Like one enzyme is alcohol dehydrogenase. So alcohol dehydrogenase performs a very important role, that it will convert this ethanol into aldehyde, right? So the alcohol that you consume is ethanol or ethyl alcohol. So ethanol in the liver gets converted into acetaldehyde. Right, in the presence of enzyme alcohol dehydrogenase. So this enzyme is secreted by the cells of the liver. So this is how we say the detoxification of drugs and alcohol takes place in the liver. Now this acetaldehyde later on will be converted into fat to produce energy. But sometimes this fat do not produce energy, it gets accumulated. It gets accumulated in liver, and liver gets fat. You call it as fatty liver, and hence you call this disease as fatty liver syndrome. What do you call it as? Fatty liver syndrome or fatty acid liver syndrome, because in the fat, the fatty acids are produced. So fatty acid liver syndrome is very harmful because the person's liver gets swollen, and in fact you can see the belly is also swollen. That's why people who are heavy drunkards, they have very swollen belly, right? This abdominal portion is swollen. Why? Because they are drinking a lot of alcohol that it has been converted into fat, and that gets deposited in the liver. Liver gets fatty, and this syndrome is fatty acid liver syndrome. Now what happens when you get fatty acid liver syndrome? So is that okay, ma'am? It's okay, fat is there, then what's the problem? The problem is when you have a lot of fat here, or when you are consuming alcohol, both alcohol and accumulation of fat kills the hepatocyte, the main cells of liver. And when these cells are damaged, your liver is damaged. That leads to liver cirrhosis, which is the second disease caused due to alcohol. You understand? So the second disease that is caused due to alcohol is liver cirrhosis. So what happened the accumulation of fat, acetaldehyde, because acetaldehyde is also produced, and alcohol, it will lead to destruction of hepatocyte. Destruction of hepatocyte. And that destroys liver. And that disease is known as liver cirrhosis. So here, alarming, this is kind of an alarming signal, and the doctors start to say either you drink alcohol and die, or leave the alcohol and live your life longer. Right? So this comes in different stages, like 1, 2, 3, 4, just like in hepatitis. All the symptoms are nearly equal to the hepatitis, because in hepatitis also the cells are damaged. Okay. So this is the second disease that is caused by the alcohol. Right? Otherwise, it also causes vasodilation. What is vasodilation? Increase the lumen of blood vessel. As a result, there is increase in blood flow. So, if there is high blood flow, it can sometimes also increase the blood pressure as well, and that can cause nearly heart diseases as well. And also, because fat is accumulated, that can also cause the heart disease, because when you consume fat, the fat is not just accumulated in the liver, it may go to the other tissues also. If it get deposit in the blood vessel, it can cause atherosclerosis also. So that's why it's really bad. Okay. Another thing is, if you drink alcohol, alcohol is very, strong. It causes inflammation in the stomach. You feel that something is burning in the stomach, and you call it as gastritis. So when I say inflammation in stomach, that means it is eroding the walls of the stomach, and you feel heartburn, right? Heartburn is also seen as a symptom. So prolonged gastritis can lead to gastric ulcers. It can cause gastric ulcers also. Small nodules are formed, and when they rupture, the blood can ooze out. So these things are some of the side effects of the alcohol. Apart from that, what does alcohol do? Alcohol also inhibit ADH. Alcohol also inhibit ADH. What is ADH? You all know. You must have done that in excretory products and elimination. ADH is antidiuretic hormone. This is the hormone that prevents diuresis. That prevents diuresis. That means formation of dilute urine. Imagine your ADH is not working due to alcohol, because alcohol is a diuretic substance. It will produce dilute urine. How it produces dilute urine? By inhibiting ADH. We say the alcohol is diuretic. What are diuretics? The substances that will produce dilute urine. How it produces dilute urine? By inhibiting ADH, because ADH is such hormone that will make sure the dilute urine is not formed. If it is inhibited, dilute urine will be formed, and hence what will you face? Dehydration, excessive water loss, the blood volume will get disturbed. That's why people who have a lot of hangover, the previous night they had a lot of drinks, they didn't know what they're doing, but next day they feel they did something bad. So body feels a lot of dehydration, right? And that's why they are recommended to drink the lemonade or lemon water, so that they can restore their dehydrated body, they can restore their body volume content. Fine. Apart from that, let's see what alcohol does to your brain. So when someone consumes alcohol, alcohol affects two parts of the brain. First, cerebrum and cerebellum. So if you have seen in movies or in real life somewhere, people who are very drunk, they are not able to walk properly. Why? Because their body balance posture is not maintained. Why? Because alcohol hit their cerebellum. So when it hit their cerebellum, they are not able to maintain posture. So they are not able to walk properly. So not able to walk properly. not able to walk properly. That's why you will see people, sometimes on the streets who are very heavy drunkard, they are just lying on the street and sleeping, and even they don't know what's happening with them, right? Cerebrum, when it affects cerebrum, you must have observed the people who actually drink, what kind of talks they have. You are my best friend, right? They talk like that, and they are talking out of the blue something like it's not even related. Why? And how do they talk? They are not even talking properly. Their speech is not even proper. Who are very heavy drunkard, I'm talking about them, right? Because their cerebellum, it affects motor speech area. You're not able to listen properly, you're not able to speak properly, right? And second it effect is your reasoning abilities. You're not able to judge things properly, right? So that's why never ever drink alcohol. In fact, in your age it is not at all recommended to have one. That's why it's not even legal. So there is a thing now why it's not legal, because it's not good for your body. This is the age where you can build your body very healthy, and whatsoever you will eat in this age, that will become the part of your habits for a long period of time, and this is how your body will be there for a long period of time. If you will not eat healthy in this age, or you will do things like that, then for a later period of time you will age faster, and your body will not behave according to your age. You will be like an older person. So you have to decide, it's always said, treat your body like a temple. In temple you do not bring bad things, right? Or you always keep it clean. So whatsoever you will put inside the body cells will react in a particular way. So how can you put very bad things inside your body? I can never think putting the bad things inside my stomach, because somehow it is going to be the part of my cells. And how can I eat stale food or bad food or drugs like that, because somehow they're going to affect my body, right? So never ever consume alcohol. It's not cool. In movies it looks cool, but in real life they are very bad. Now let's talk about something more bad than alcohol, that is drug abuse. So drugs, what are drugs? First of all, drugs have been divided into two categories. There are two types of drugs. One is psychotropic drugs, and second is psychedelic drugs, also known as hallucinogens. So we have divided these drugs into two categories on the basis of what is their function and how what part of the body they are affecting and how they are performing the function, right? So the psychotropic drugs are those drugs that will alter your CNS activity, that will change your CNS activity. What is CNS? Central nervous system, brain and spinal cord. They can either increase or decrease the CNS activity. So whenever they will increase CNS activity, you will be more energetic, you will be more alert, you will be doing works efficiently. Whenever they decrease the CNS activity, you will feel dizziness, you will feel sleepy and something like that. So we have a category of psychotropic drugs, and those drugs are like opiates, sedatives and stimulants. So these are further divided into three categories: opiates, sedatives and stimulants, right? Whereas the hallucinogens are kind of a more dangerous one. These are the ones that will alter the perceptions or reality. Perceptions or reality. They are very kind of a bad drugs. So when you will take this drug, you will feel like you are not even in your room. You are in this inside the solar system, somewhere in the universe, in galaxies and so. Yes, you will generally feel like that. Or you will feel like the object that is present in front of you, maybe it's a plant, maybe it's a chair or something, the chair is talking to you. So this is kind of perception and reality changes. Or the person is not even in front of you and you feel like the person is in front of you. You will start having ghost experiences. So all these kind of the experiences, you call them as that they are altering the perceptions of reality. The drug is hallucinogenic. That means you are feeling hallucinogens, you're completely into different world. You're not into the present. Okay, so see how much effect they're giving to your brain, that the brain is even not in the present, it's somewhere else, right? So these are the two category of drug that we need to study here. So the first category of drug is your sedatives. Sedatives are also known as tranquilizers. The tranquilizer word we got from tranquility. Tranquility means the state of calmness, right? And sedative, that means it will induce you sleep. So these are the drugs which will induce sleep, or you must have heard in the form of sleeping pills, right? So that's why I have shown these pills here. So these are basically, they come in the form of sleeping pills. Sleeping pills. So these drugs, they causes sleep and calmness. So who needs sleep? The person who is into anxiety and depression. So they are basically given or recommended to those patients who are facing a lot of anxiety and depression. So they are given in anxiety or depression, and on the recommendation of doctor only. So if you'll go and ask the person over the counter to give you drugs, they will not give you. They will first ask you to give the prescription. So these are the drugs. They come under the name of barbiturate and benzodiazepines. These are the examples. Fine. So these are recommended for any person who are facing depression and anxiety, because it will calm your nervous system. So if it is causing you disease, tell me, will it increase the CNS activity or decrease the CNS activity? It will decrease the CNS activity. It will decrease the CNS activity. This is how these drugs work, right? So for those who are facing anxiety and depression, that's a kind of a good thing, but having overdose of this is really, really bad. It may kill a person. Fine. Moving further to the next class of drug, which are opiates, and they are also sometimes known as narcotics. They are the most abused ones. Right? So you can see here, it's a plant. Please identify this plant nicely. It's in the NCERT. It's poppy plant. You know, sometime we'll get the question from the diagrams of NCERT, and they'll ask you identify the drug in the plant. So I have given a lot of questions in the DPP. Do solve it. Around 35 questions are there, and some are diagrammatic based questions also, because this topic is very important from NEET point of view. So it's a poppy plant, which is Papaver somniferum, the scientific name, right? So from the latex of this plant we obtain the drug. So this opiates, they also decreases the CNS activity. Okay, so they are opiate receptors. What are opiate receptors? As you know, every component in your body, whether it is hormone, it is a neurotransmitter, if it has to stimulate a cell or it has to inhibit the cell, it has to bind to a receptor. Like if insulin has to work on hepatocyte, it will bind to its receptor. Just like that, we have opiate receptors. But where are they present? They are present on central nervous system and gastrointestinal tract, your GIT, your entire gut. So the opiate receptors, where are they present? They are present on your central nervous system. And how they affect on central nervous system? It will inhibit the CNS activity, right? Now these drugs, they have been divided into three categories, the opiates. The first category are natural, that are completely extracted from the plant. Second are semi-synthetic. That means you have modified the natural version of the drug. And last is synthetic. You have completely formed it in the lab. You got it? The first type of an opiate is completely extracted from the plant, which is poppy plant. And you know, the farming of poppy plant is not legal in India. Okay. So natural means you have extracted from the poppy plant. So here we have, it is extracted from latex. What part of poppy plant? Latex of poppy plant. So we have two examples here. The first is morphine and second is codeine. second is codeine, right? In semi-synthetic, we have modified these natural product. Like we had morphine, we done a process to the morphine, and that process is acetylation, or we can say we have added the acetyl group to the morphine, and that becomes diacetyl morphine. Diacetyl morphine, and this diacetyl morphine in market, it is known as smack. What it is known as? Smack, right? Then we have synthetic, it is produced in lab. It is completely produced in lab, and the name of the drug is pethidine and methadone. These two drugs are usually given to the patient in drug de-addiction centers. For example, a patient came with the complete addiction of opiates. So the person is so much addicted that the person has been taking drug for so long a duration of time, right? Now you just can't tell a person to leave the drug today. If you'll ask a person to leave a drug today who has been taking drug for longer duration of time and in high dose, the person may die. So you just can't leave them like that, because their body is completely dependent on that. We'll also talk about addiction later on, but let's just talk about this in a little general way. So if a person leaves the drug today, if the person has been taking it in high doses for longer duration of time, then what will happen to that person? The person eventually may die or show a lot of symptoms like nausea, anxiety, shakiness, increase in blood pressure, and eventually a person can die, right? So you can't tell the person to leave the drug right now. So what we do? We are not recommending the person to take these drugs, rather they have to completely leave them. They causes addiction, they are bad, but we'll give them these kind of drug that will behave like them, but they are not addictive. So these drugs, they are not addictive drugs. They are not addictive at all. So that's why they are given, so that the body will keep on thinking that yeah, the body is receiving opiate and body will not show withdrawal symptoms. These are all withdrawal symptoms, nausea and all. But at the same time, the body will not get the dependence of these drugs. The body will not get addicted to it, unlike that of these. So these drugs are used in drug de-addiction centers. Now let's talk about morphine, codeine and smack. If I talk about smack is white in color, odorless, it does not have any smell, and it is bitter and crystalline. So if you have seen some movies related to drugs and all, when the police has to identify whether a person is carrying drug or not, what that policeman used to do? They just see and it looks like a salt, right? And they'll see, yeah, it's a crystalline, that means it may be a drug. Now what they will say? They will start smelling it. If it smells like a salt, maybe it's not a drug. But if there is no smell, it may be a drug. Then they will taste it. When they'll taste it, they feel it's like a bitter, right? Then definitely it's a drug. And then what happen in movies? Then they slap the person and take them to the jail and something like that, right? So this is how the smack it looks like. So the smack is white, odorless, bitter and crystalline. Let's talk about the morphine. Morphine and codeine. These both, they are extracted from the latex of a poppy plant, and they both are alkaloid in nature. What are they? Alkaloid. Morphine is a very powerful analgesic. You also call it as a painkiller. They are only given on prescription of a doctor during a very, critical situation, when you are having a very critical surgery and there is a lot of pain involved, right? So it's a kind of a powerful painkiller or analgesic. Analgesic. Analgesic is another name for painkiller. Talking about codeine, codeine is a powerful bronchodilator. That means it will dilate your bronchioles. So that means you can use it in cough syrups. So whenever you have bronchitis, the bronchioles, they get inflamed and they get constricted. The air is not able to pass inside properly. So what if we dilate them with something, and that something is codeine, and it's used in cough syrups, right? So that's about the opiates. let's talk about stimulant. Stimulant as something which will increase your CNS activity. So earlier two we have done sedatives and opiates. They both were decreasing the CNS activity. They were like a little suppressing your central nervous system. But this one will enhance your activity of CNS. So first you must have heard of is caffeine. Caffeine is present in tea, and the scientific name of tea is thea, and it is also present in coffee, which is Coffea arabica. Coffea arabica. So this also stimulates your central nervous system and you tend to work better and properly. Another example we have are the pills, which are amphetamines. Amphetamines, they are also known as pep pills. They also enhances your CNS activity and they increase alertness. So basically the function of stimulus, all stimulus is to increase alertness. So those people who have a problem of sleeping at inappropriate times, or they are not calm, for example you're going to go before anything, like there's a time you're going on the stage or you're going for exam, at that time these drugs they help, but again they are drugs, one should not take it. Okay, so kind of it will increase anxiety and it will remove the anxiety and increase the alertness. The third one we have is nicotine. Nicotine is present in Nicotina tabacum plant, which is also known as tobacco. And tobacco is present in cigarettes. Where they are present? They are present in cigarette. That means it can be taken in the form of a smoke. By smoking, people use it. They are also present in those what you say, the people, they eat it, they chew it, right? They are also present in those, what we say in Hindi, the jardas, right? So you can also chew it, right? So the source, how it is taken, that is different, but the effect is same. Nicotine, which is the main stimulant present here, it's also an alkaloid. It is also an alkaloid, just like that of morphine. Now what does it do in your body? So nicotine also it attacks your cardiovascular system. How? Nicotine, this alkaloid, when it enters into your body, it will ask one gland, which is adrenal gland in your body, to increase the production of a hormone known as adrenaline. Adrenaline rush, right? And adrenaline, what does it do? It increases your blood pressure and heart rate. So for prolonged period, if you are taking nicotine, adrenal gland will keep on making that hormone and your blood pressure will always remain high, increasing the load on your heart, and heart gets weak, leading to cardiovascular diseases, right? So what does it do? It nicotine stimulates adrenal gland to secrete hormone. What is the hormone? Adrenaline. What does adrenaline do? Adrenaline, it increases heart rate and blood pressure. So in a way it is affecting your cardiovascular system. Apart from that, nicotine also have a lot of side effects. Yes. So you all know, if we smoke, what happened to our lung? The lungs get destroyed and a person get lung cancer. So yes. So what are the side effects of tobacco? The side effect is, first, you can get cancer. That can be a lung cancer. That can be a throat cancer. Those people who chew the nicotine, they can have oral cancer as well, the cancer of mouth, stomach cancer, and even gastritis, right? Apart from that, the person can have, if it is a male, prostate cancer and the cancer of urinary bladder. So it's not just the lung cancer, different various kinds of cancer can occur. In some people even blood cancer can occur due to that, right? So see, this is really very dreadful. Apart from that, because lungs are involved here, whenever you smoke, the smoke goes inside lungs. So what happens when the smoke goes inside lung? The smoke contains carbon monoxide in high content. So carbon monoxide, it has more affinity towards hemoglobin as comparison to oxygen. So oxygen is not able to bond with hemoglobin, and a person is deficient of oxygen. So the oxygen carrying capacity of hemoglobin will also decrease. So carbon monoxide is there in smoke. Carbon monoxide in smoke reduces the affinity of oxygen bound hemoglobin, or the formation of oxygen bound hemoglobin, right? Also it leads to heart diseases, heart or cardiovascular diseases. Since the lung is involved, there is one more disease that can occur, that is an obstructive disorder of the lung, that is emphysema. So yes, emphysema can also occur, and this is a very critical disease, and a person can even die because of it. So all these are various side effects of tobacco, and one should never ever do it, right? Okay. Another stimulant that we have is, again I'm talking about stimulants only, so let me just write on heading, otherwise you'll get confused. Another stimulant we have is cocaine, also known as coke or crack. So this is obtained from another plant, and the name of the plant is Erythroxylum coca. Again, the latex of this plant, Erythroxylum coca. This is native to South America. So South America have a lot of plants and mushrooms which are very drug-like substances, and that's why the most of these things you can find here, right? So cocaine, coke or crack, it is obtained from this plant, that is Erythroxylum coca. Cocaine in low quantity, it's a stimulant, but if it is taken in the higher quantity, it can be a hallucinogen, right? So this one, how does it work? It interferes with dopamine transportation. Dopamine is a neurotransmitter, so it will inhibit its transportation. Right, it's a neurotransmitter, so it is basically inhibiting it. So in low quantity, if someone takes it in low quantity, this is a stimulant. That's why it is considered as a stimulant, because it is never advisable even to take it. Why people are taking in high doses, I don't know. And in high quantity, it is a hallucinogen. So if a person is taking it in low quantity, the person will feel good, stress-free and more energetic. Right, there is a feeling of goodness. The person will be, top of the world and feel like what you say in nowadays language, high with energy. But if a person has somehow taken in high quantity, the person will have different perception reality and something else will occur, right? So since we are talking about hallucinogen, let's talk about them in detail. In hallucinogen, the drugs are very bad. They have a very different effect. They are basically affecting your central nervous system, and they are altering your perception and reality. The first is LSD. You must have heard this in news or so. LSD. The full form is lysergic acid diethylamide. So this is a hallucinogen, a powerful hallucinogen, which is obtained from a fungus, which is ergot fungus. Right. The second we have is the one you can see here, that is cannabinoid. Cannabinoids. Cannabinoid is such drug which is abused by sports person a lot. It is abused by sports person, people who play sports, right? So that's why before starting of any sports, there's some kind of tests are done, dope test, to check if a person is having or it's on drugs or not. Because if a person is on drug abnormally the body will react in a different way, and this is not advisable, and it is not fair for people to, you know, play like that. Other is on drug and other is not, right? So from where it is obtained? It is obtained from a hemp plant, and the name of the plant is Cannabis sativa. So you can see the structure of the cannabinoid. It's a molecule that is extracted from this plant, and these are the leaves of this plant. Leaves. So for example, if I say this is the plant from where the drug is obtained, the plant's various parts are used to produce various type of cannabinoid drug, or we can say under cannabinoid we have different category of the drug, and that is categorized on the basis of what kind of part you are using to produce the drug. For example, you must have heard of bhang. Bhang is usually in the Indian traditions and all. So this leaves of the plant, they are dried and mixed with some milk or so, and people used to drink on certain occasions. So when the leaves are used in of this plant's used, you call the drug as bhang. So what is a bhang? Bhang is a cannabinoid where the leaves of the plant are used to make the drug. Similarly, one kind of a drug is charas or hashish. In charas or hashish, they use resin. They use resin part of this plant. One is ganja. In ganja, they use dried, unfertilized, that has not been fertilized, female inflorescence. The female part of the plant which is dried and not fertilized. Right? And the last we have is marijuana. And the last we have is marijuana. In marijuana, the flower tops and leaves both are used to make the drugs. So now where are the receptors present, or I can say how does cannabinoid function? The cannabinoid have the receptor on both CNS and cardiovascular system. That means it can affect your brain as well as your heart. Cardiovascular system. That's why the sportsmen abuse it, because by that the heart rate will increase, more energy will be there, and they can do their play effectively, right? So these are the second kind of hallucinogen. Let's talk about the third one. So the third one is this is psilocybin. Psilocybin is a drug that is obtained from psilocybe, and the common name of this is Mexican mushroom. So mushrooms are kind of also not the mushroom that you cook at house. They are quite different from that, right? There are various kind of mushroom in the world. Some are poisonous, some are used in the drugs, they are hallucinogenic, some are eaten. Most of them are eaten. So the one which we eat, it's just one kind in India, but you know, in different countries like Japan and China, they use various kind of mushroom to cook the food, right? So this mushroom is not to cook the food. This is a drug and it's hallucinogen, and the name is Mexican mushroom. Apart from this, there are two other plants, Atropa belladonna and Datura. These two plants are also, or their parts are also used to make drug. Let me show you how the Datura looks like. So this is Datura, you can see here, right? So you have to memorize how the plant look like. This is Datura. These are the leaves of cannabinoid. This is the structure of cannabinoid with the different rings, right? And then this is the structure. The most complicated is of morphine, and this is a poppy plant. Okay, and there is one more structure that's in the biomolecule that you need to remember for your NEET, and that is the structure of cholesterol. It looks like a little of a cannabinoid, but little different from that. The cannabinoid structure has only one ring complete, but the cholesterol structure has many rings. Okay, all right. So that's about the hallucinogen. Let's talk about the other abused drugs. What are the other drugs that are abused? So if I talk about sports person, what does sports person abuse? First of all, they abuse analgesics, the painkiller like morphine, so that they should not feel any pain while they're running or doing any activity, right? Another are cannabinoids to increase cardiovascular activity. Another are steroids. Steroids are like male hormones, so that their body should be, very built up and strong. Then diuretics. What are diuretics? Like coffee, caffeine, right? They usually inhibit ADH and increase the urine output, but they are also stimulants, so they will also increase the alertness. So these are some kind of drugs that are basically abused by the sports person. Okay, so sometimes they will ask you a question like that also. Tell the drugs that are abused by the sports person. Okay, all right. Let me show you a paragraph here. We'll talk about all these one by one. We'll also talk about these paragraphs, but I'll suggest you to please read this from NCERT as well. Okay, it's huge. Let's just decrease the font size. Okay, we are just there. You have to stay with me. You have to stay with me a little. Okay, so you can read this line with me. Another misuse of drug is what certain sports person do to enhance their performance. So they misuse or use narcotic analgesic, that means like morphine, anabolic steroid, diuretic, and certain hormones like steroids in sports to increase muscle strength and bulk, to promote aggressiveness and result increase in the athletic performance, right? So this paragraph is very important. Many of you missed this paragraph, but you don't need to. So this is what sports person they misuse. Now, when I talk about the most misuse and the most bad one, which give you the side effects for longer duration of time, is your steroids. Steroids are basically the hormones which are like testosterone. So these steroids, they are used by both male and female. Yes. So especially those who do bodybuilding, they use steroids to make up their body nicely. Because in females, you don't have a lot amount of testosterone, right? So that's why female's body look like a female body. The female body naturally do not produce a lot of muscles, right? So you can have your great muscle by having protein diet and exercise, but having abnormal kind of a muscle just like a man, that's quite different. Okay, so that means a person somehow is taking the steroids which are like testosterone. So if a male abuse the steroids, what will happen to the male? First thing, both the male and the female, they will have mood swings. These are the common symptoms: mood swings and aggressiveness. Both will have the same symptom, because this is like testosterone, and you all know when testosterone is there in high amount, you tend to have more anger, right? And you will get aggressive. So this is one thing that is common in both. If I talk about male will have more acne, large breast, premature baldness. What is that? That means a person will lose its hair, and you can see baldness here, right, on the head. The person's prostate gland can also get enlarged, which can either lead to the cancer as well. Enlarged prostate gland. On the other hand, the fertility is going down and the person's testicle size reduces. Testicle size reduces. These are some of the symptom or the side effects of the steroid, so one should not take it. Okay. In female, because female are made to have the female hormone, not the male hormone. What if you give the male hormone to the female? She will look like a man, so the body will be like masculine, right? And the voice will be deep like man. On the other hand, because she is getting another hormone which will interrupt her menstrual cycle, irregular menstrual cycle, and the fertility will go down. Fertility will go down, lower fertility. So is it good to have them? No. So make sure, if you are going to the gym and you are not that adult and having a lot of knowledge of things, never ever take all these things without the advice of a doctor or anyone. right? Protein powder is little different. That powder is different, but these things, they are different. Okay, so you are taking protein powder. It's a kind of a whey protein which is basically produced from the curdling of the milk. That's different. You're having excessive protein, but make sure that is also for good quality and check out what it contains. But if you are taking these, they are quite different. They can disrupt your body, they can destroy the body for a longer duration of time, and that first effect will be on your fertility. Do you want that your fertility will reduce? No, nobody wants that. So that's about the drugs abuse. Let's talk about other things. Adolescence and alcohol or drug abuse. What is adolescence? It's a stage of what? Change, transition between childhood and adulthood. Okay, so this is you were children, you just never become adult directly. So there is a stage of transition, and that is adolescence, and this stage is usually between 12 to 18 years of age. You are very innocent in this stage. You're very innocent. A lot of body changes are occurring at this point of time. Like in males, you are getting your secondary sexual characters. Females are getting their secondary sexual characters. Males are having masculine body, beard, acne, changing in the hormones. You don't feel like talking to anyone. You yourself don't feel like you are you'd anymore, right? And that change makes you shy sometime, and your genitals are also growing. In female's body is also behaving differently. Her hormones are going on, they're rushing because she's getting menstrual cycle and she's not understanding what's happening. And also females' breasts are enlarged and genitals are growing and everything is happening. And at the same time, you also have to cope up with your other life. That is like your academics and so. So sometimes you're not able to manage all these things, right? You're not able to manage all these things. And at this stage also, you start attracting towards opposite sex, right? So all these things are happening and you're not balancing it, and that lead you towards a little anxiety and nervousness. It's quite okay. You all are in this stage. We also have passed through this stage. You get attracted. That's normal. You don't have to fall in love and approach a person and go for a relationship. It's okay if you find someone attractive. Just stop it there. Another thing, if your academics are going bad in some days, just try to improve them on the another day when the day is good for you. But don't demoralize in these things, because when you get anxious, you get demoralized and someone else offer you something like a drug, you experiment it. This is an age of curiosity also, because you're still a children at heart, but your body is getting like an adult. So you start experimenting drugs, and when you experiment the drug, it's never the experimentation. The first is experimentation, the second is your habit, right? So you keep on taking it because during first experimentation you find it so good. You felt like you are like an adult and you grow up, because there is a misconception that these things are for adult people because the legal age is this. So that means now after some time you will become adult. Let's be adult before everyone, right? Before everyone in my class. No, these things never declare you as an adult. They declare you that you are a fool. So never ever take drugs or alcohol even out of experimentation. Never start a thing. If you will never start a thing, you will never take it for your life, throughout your life. Okay, but if you once start it, a barrier is broken and you will tend to take it again. So why do people abuse the drug in adolescence? Experimentation. So never experiment anything. So because when you will take the drug in this time period, this is the one that makes your career. This is the one that is building your health. So when you will start taking in this one, you are not healthy. Second, you will also disrupt your family financially. And third, you will destroy yourself academically and you will not be able to make your nice career. Okay. If you have somehow entered here, it's time that you should quit it as soon as possible. So one should not try it even for experimentation or to become cool or whatsoever the factor is. Whatsoever your friends say under peer pressure, don't do it. Whosoever say it's good, just tell them if it is good for you, maybe it's not good for me. Then try to say no, right? So one should never take the drug in whatever age you are, especially in adolescence, right? Now what is addiction and dependence? Most of you must have heard these words. Yeah, I am addicted to this. Yeah, that person is addicted to drug. He's a drug addictor, right? Now, what is addiction? Addiction is a psychological thing. That means you find drugs good. You find taking drugs good. For example, a person experiment the drug for the first time and the person found, oh, that's an escape from the reality. I feel good, I feel less anxious, my all the problems are into bay and I'm all good, I'm all fine. That's a kind of an escape from the reality. So the person will feel good and person will tend to take it again because the person feel good, it's in the brain of a person. So it's a psychological thing. So addiction is something which is psychological and you tend to take the drug again and again. So what happened in addiction psychological? The person takes drug because he or she finds it good. Finds it good or relaxing. Okay, now the person will take it again and again, and the cycle will go on. Okay, the person will start taking a lot, right? For example, every day once, then every day twice, and so and so and so. Now what will happen? Now earlier the addiction says that it's just your body's your brain is just saying you feel good, your body doesn't know anything right now, right? But when you take it for a longer duration of time, you are feeding your body cells the high amount of neurotransmitters. You are making the cell more tolerant, you are making the cell resistant. You understand that? For example, earlier when you were not you were not taking any drug, your cell was working just by one molecule of a neurotransmitter like this, right? Now you started taking drug. Under the influence of a drug, a lot of neurotransmitter will be released. Now the cell will function under the influence of more neurotransmitter. Now if you will quit the drug, only one neurotransmitter will be released back. Now the cell will say, no, I want it more. Just like if you will give child 5 chocolates on the day 1. And for around a year, you will daily give 5 chocolates to the child. The child knows this is the minimum quantity that I deserve to take a chocolate, right? Now, in the next year, you give just 1 chocolate to that particular child. Will that child be happy? No. Same happens in this case. When you start taking a drug a lot, the cells are tolerant to more quantity of drug. That means they will only work if you have a lot amount of drug. If you will quit the drug, you will not give the drug, the cells will not function, and that lead to the stage known as dependence. So dependence is always physiological. That means the body's physiology is dependent on the drug. Without drug, the body will not function. But addiction is just psychological. To take the person out from this stage is very easy, but to take the person out from this stage is very difficult. Why? Because from this stage, if the person leaves drug, imagine the person got dependence. Now person leave the drugs. What will happen? You will see withdrawal symptom. What are withdrawal symptom? If a person immediately stop taking the drug, the symptoms will be seen in the person's body, because the person doesn't feel good, because the body is not working properly, because the body system is not working properly. The system needs more drug to function properly. So you will see the person will start having nausea, vomiting, anxiety, shakiness. That means the person's hand will shake, and sometime the person even get dizzy, and the person fell off, goes to coma, and sometime it leads to death of a person also. So it's not easy to move out from the dependence, but it is easy to move out of an addiction. Okay, so this is how, if a person is showing withdrawal symptom, if you'll give the drug again to the person, maybe the withdrawal symptoms will go, but it's a vicious cycle. You will get trapped in this. So these people who are dependents, who have dependence, they are sent to drug de-addiction centers. right? So that's about the addiction and dependence. Let's solve some previous year questions. Okay, so one thing that you have to keep in mind, in whatsoever age you are, whatsoever the life conditions are, how hard the life is, whatsoever it is, never ever consume these things. They are very bad to you. They are just not bad to you, they're bad to your family also. I have seen a lot of people in my, friends of friends of friends who have died because of taking the excessive amount of drugs, and their families are still crying that they have lost their son and so the person die, but they leave the sorrow for the people behind them, right? So let's solve the question. Identify the molecule A and B shown below and select the right option. Okay, first of all, this is morphine, this is cannabinoid. Let's do it. So A is not cocaine, A is not heroin, B is a cannabinoid, true, but it is not from atropa. Yes, it's a hallucinogen. A is morphine. Yes, it is taken from papaver, the poppy plant. And yes, it's a sedative and a painkiller. Sedative because it lowers CNS. So anything that lowers the CNS activity, it's a sedative. So answer is 4. Next. Which is the particular type of drug that is obtained from the plant whose one flowering branch is shown below? So we have just seen this plant, it's datura, and datura is a hallucinogen. So answer is 2. If it would be poppy, then the answer would be painkiller. Okay. Next, which part of the poppy plant is used to obtain the drug smack? Smack is opiate. Opiates taken from opi. The morphine is a natural one. The smack is the modification of the morphine. So in any ways you have to use morphine. So it is taken from latex. Answer is 2. Next. Drug called heroin is synthesized by. How heroin is synthesized? Yes, we have done here. Okay. Morphine, when it undergoes acetylation, it becomes smack, and the another name for smack is heroin. Okay, I think that's quite simple for you now. All right. It is formed by the acetylation of morphine. Answer is 2. Next. So that's it about the alcohol and drug abuse, and here we have finished our chapter Human Health and Disease. We'll start with the biotechnology from the next class. Till then, solve the DPPs, cover up everything, read the NCERT, and we'll start with the biotech, because biotech is one of the most important chapter for boards, for CUET, and in fact for NEET. So why not to do it nicely? So, buckle up your belts, and we'll start with the biotech in next class. Till then, cover them up nicely. Bye-bye.